Hey folks, David, Aaron, Brian here, and welcome to The Ride. Thanks for joining us. You know, people ask all the time when they see an old car or an old item, how much is it worth? But they don't understand the real value is not in how much it's worth. The real question they should ask is, what's the story behind it? Because everything has a story. Hang tight, folks. Today's going to be a fun episode. Lots of stories. So everything really does have a story. The first one I want to share with you is a question I get all the time. And by the way, thank you to those of you that have been writing in, asking questions, and have great things to say. Thank you so much for that and for your suggestions of future episodes. We've got some exciting ones planned. Meanwhile, here's the story. Check this out. Now, this is a picture of me and Doc. No, this was not 1952. Actually, about 10 years ago. Another picture of me and Doc. He's been in a lot of family photos. Me, Doc, and the missus. Painted pretty. Doc is too. So the story behind Doc, actually what happened was we were in need of a second vehicle for our family. And I just started thinking I really had been through a few things with some vehicles and having to repair them, and I thought, I wish it was simpler, if there were simpler things about vehicles to repair from year to year, month to month. Then I got to thinking, well, if I had an old-timey car, there's only like 6 things that could go wrong with it, so it'd be much easier to fix. So I thought, I just want a car that has some good history, good story, looks good. So I started my search, and the search lasted a year until I finally found a 1952 Chevy Styline Deluxe. Now, it was way out in an old corn community. If I remember, it was actually in Illinois. It was kind of close outside of the next biggest city would have been Chicago. But it was way out in this old corn community. Population 200 in the community. And it was actually the mayor, who was the barber, who was the local drugstore, who was the local everything. In his little office there, which was also an automotive lot. They had 3 or 4 cars there. The mayor's original Chevy Bel Air, and then his buddy's 1952 Chevy Styline Deluxe, and a couple older vehicles there in that little garage, which was his office, and so forth. Anyway, I traveled. It was a 14-hour one-way drive. Took a rental car because I just had a feeling this was going to be it. Drove, met this old Chevy, and fell in love immediately. Took it around the little town there, and I decided this is going to be the one, having no idea the history that would unfold. But the first time I sat in him, I just closed my eyes, turned on the AM radio, dialed in the nearest station, and basically said, okay, talk to me. And it was a long drive back to the house, 55, 60 mile an hour on side country roads. It took better than 20 hours, I would say. Now, on that journey, the story started unfolding, and the stories have been told ever since. Now, we called him Doc when the boys were real little. They saw the movie Cars, loved the movie Cars, and they loved the idea, the concept of Doc Hudson. So when I pulled in the driveway with this 52 Chevy, these little boys come running out, and the first thing they holler is, look, it's Doc, and it just stuck ever since. So everywhere we go, everywhere we've traveled, every tour, everybody knows it's Doc. And Doc is the one that gave birth to a tour company in downtown Nashville, and Doc is the one that gives birth to The Ride, which we have been enjoying, and you've been enjoying for a few years now, but the programming is a little bit different and more fun and more engaging. And it's all because of Doc, and it's all because of you. So thank you for coming along for a ride. But that's the story of how Doc comes along and connects with the ride today. So I collect a lot of stuff, but it's not just stuff to me. It actually is stories. It's history. It's history that has been made. It's history in the making. And you'll notice by a lot of the ads and a lot of the album covers. Matter of fact, I want you to look at the ceiling in my studio here. This is the ceiling. It is covered with old album covers, even the wallpaper, which they used to do, you know, way back in the day when they couldn't afford proper wall covering, is old newspaper clippings and old magazine covers and ads from magazines and car ads and you name it, all kind of wonderful vintage items. And here's why I collect it. Not necessarily because it is valuable to the extent that it would be worth a lot of money, but it's valuable because it has a story to it. And stories add texture to life. Everything has a story. Let me show you this. I think you'll enjoy. I'll give you an example. This old, actually late 1930s model. Better fix my camera. Radio, which it works, hasn't been repaired. It is in original shape and condition. And a couple of years ago, I went just driving through some part of the country and found this old social hall. It was a social hall from the 1920s, and a lot of communities had gathering areas that they would utilize for church services, educational purposes, or community events. And eventually, if they had town dances or weddings or whatever have you, the social halls where they would gather. This particular one was a social hall and had been since the late 1920s, and it had fallen into the hands of one of the grandchildren. And it sat on the back of a property and nobody ever knew what to do with it. The day I walked in, there were still, by the way, a beautiful wooden floor in this big social hall. And there were still roller skates, various sizes, hanging on the wall in the social hall. And the stories those roller skates alone could have told was amazing. But off in the corner was an old TV from the 1950s, and then a radio sitting on the top of it. I actually you can see the television in the background there. Walked away with it and with this. And the stories they tell about the music that was played on those Friday nights or Saturday nights when kids or students from the community would gather together, turn on the radio, maybe they'd crank on WSM or whatever else was available to them to play the music in the backdrop so that they would have something to dance to or skate to or just fill in the background while they were navigating life at that time. This may be a transmitter, but it is also a recorder. What I mean by that is this radio was sitting there to hear every story and to feel and witness every emotion, not only by the programs that were played over it, but by the people that surrounded it back in the day. That's why I like to collect old things. They have stories that they tell. And the longer you hang out with them, the more stories that you'll hear and the more your imagination begins to develop. Really, on the ride, that's what part of this is all about. The idea of going to different locations and meeting people and reconnecting current society with things that we have forgotten along the way. Not just pieces of equipment, not just items or albums or books, but ideas in ways that helped to shape our great nation, that helped to shape what became great families. The rides idea is to reconnect with these things in a fun way. So I thought it'd be great to kind of give you a backdrop, another layer as to what goes on in the background. Check this out. I'll show this to you while we're hanging out here. Look at this. World's Fair, 1904. That's what it says on the tag here. And it is actually, they sold these at the World's Fair in 1904. It is an accordion, a squeeze box. Let me do this. Take it out so you can see. It is in need of repair, but it still works. And it hadn't been played a little bit. You can tell because look at the wear marks on it. So from 1904, obviously in recent years it hadn't been played a lot, but the stories it could tell. What about the Friday night dances that this would have played in, or maybe Grandpa playing it while Grandma is singing hymns? Who knows? But what great history and great stories could be told. Thank you for your messages. I love reading them, and they're showing up here in the Magic Travel Box. We've got some really great ideas for future episodes from you, so thank you for that. And also to Jonathan from Georgia. Jonathan says, we are really enjoying being along for the journey. Thank you for letting us be a part of it. Our family is committed to the ride. That's awesome. Thank you, Jonathan, for that. We've got some very special programming coming up, and I'm really excited about this. I'll share it in just a moment. Somebody had asked a question the other day, and here it is. I'm going to go ahead and read it. If your family was safe, but your house and everything burned down, what is the item you would take with you? What a great question, because as you can see by the little that we've shared here in today's episode, there's a lot of stuff. And every little item has a great story. Every little instrument has a great meaning to me. And it has become a part of my life story and part of what brings me joy and other people joy. But if the house was burning, what would I take? And I've thought about that long and hard. I might take my guitar, because it's always good to have a song no matter what's going on. Might grab the little safe, the handheld safe that has some personal value and identification in it. But honestly, of all the wonderful, beautiful items, from old fiddles and guitars and albums that are one of a kind, of all of that, my personal thought is part of the fun of having it was the joy of going after it. And these are just items, so they can all be replaced or lived without. What we can't live without is one another and, of course, the good Lord. And we cannot live without joy. There will always be something, if you'll let your soul look after it, there will always be something to bring you joy. So I just got to thinking about that, and I thought, really? If I lost every item and wasn't able to salvage anything, the fun would be in there's more out there. And that would be a new journey, and that would be a new chapter, not only in life, but in the search for things and stories. Maybe you've been through some of this, or maybe you've thought the same thing. I'd love to hear what's the one item that you would take if everybody was safe but the house was burning. What is that one item or heirloom, and why is it valuable to you? Leave it in the comments section. We would love to hear that story. So this is going to be really exciting. Route 66 is coming up, y'all. Route 66, however you say. Okay, this is the 100-year anniversary for getting your kicks on Route 66. It goes, this is an old school map, so you might not be able to read it, but Route 66 goes across, starts in Chicago, if I am recalling my history properly, ends all the way out in California, and became a major thoroughfare back in the day, back in the 1920s, a major thoroughfare. A lot of families moving from east to west, crossing from the Midwest through the Mississippi, across the Mississippi, and through the countryside. It became a major route, not just for transport, but for families and vacationers. Very popular. And it celebrates its 100 years this year. So yours truly, we're going to be out on Route 66 and do a 5-day series. We're going to be hosted by various famous historic restaurants, hotels, and other little spots along the way. If you've got suggestions of some spots we can stop, or you know somebody that has a business along the way, we'd love to meet up with them and celebrate 100 years of Route 66, but also make some history while we're doing it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of games planned, and we're still in the planning stages, but you heard it here first. We're building the story and we're traveling out. It will be in September. I'll give you a date on the next episode when we'll actually be airing and be live at some points out on Route 66 in September. So that's coming up real quick like. Okay, so let's play a game. First of all, this item. See if you can guess what this is. I'll give you a hint. It is not Fortnite. It is not GTA. It's actually a handheld football game. Now, this was released in the late 1970s. Handheld game device that you could play. It's single player, but they made multiplayer where you would move the little red dots down the screen and compete with the computer in a football game, or what ended up being. That's what it looks like. There they are. Super cool, huh? Now, let's try this item. See if you can guess this item. All right, I'll bring this. You recognize that emblem? You might not. Let's pull away a little bit. That's right. It is the 1955, what became known as the Elvis microphone. It's a 1955 Shure SM58 precursor, I do believe. But I still use this. Cool. So here's what do, part of the game. Go in your house right now. Push pause on the video. Go in your house. Find the oldest item that you can find, and then go ask and see if you can find out what is the story on that item. Come back, leave it in the comments section, and let us know some of the history that you hold in your house, and let us know the story behind it that gives it its real value. Kind of a cool little game we'll play here, and I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. Now, as we move forward in the next couple of episodes, we're going to be traveling, doing some neat little items. But remember, like, share, subscribe, and we'd love to hear from you. Not only your thoughts on episodes, but ideas for future episodes as well. We're loving hearing from you. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. Thanks for letting us share our story today, and looking forward to hearing from you. We'll see you again soon, friends. Don't forget, live life the shiny side up.
Every night I hope and pray a dream lover will come my way. Know the magic of her charms. I wanna hold her in my arms. Yeah, I want